Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alfany. We got some big news. Let's jump right into it. But if you like any part of this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you click that little like button down below. In the video line, you'll see chapters. Okay. This article was released today on Cointelegraph. Montenegro's central bank teams up with Ripple on digital currency pilot. Yes. Let's read this little tidbit here. All right. I just love it. Montenegro's prime minister announced a central bank digital currency or stablecoin project with Ripple. The Balkan country currently uses the euro instead of a national currency. Montenegrin Prime Minister Dritan Abazovic has announced on Twitter that his country is pursuing a digital currency in conjunction with Ripple. Listen, they're just putting out the small ones, but really any central bank comes with a network, comes with supervised entities that they're going to also have using the network. This is how it goes. So, I mean, can you imagine later on when we start, when they start announcing the massive central banks that they have hundreds, they have hundreds of financial institutions signed up. There's a lot that haven't been announced. NDAs, non-disclosure agreements don't last forever, right? Although I'm pretty sure they last long enough to go further than this lack of regulatory clarity. I'm pretty sure what this is all about. A lot of institutions are either stepping away from the fire for now, like until there's regulatory clarity, or some of them have pretended to disappear from utilizing the bank coins. And I firmly believe it's just pretend, right? Once there's regulatory clarity, it's going to be off to the races. But I'm saying, can you imagine when the massive announcements are coming? We're getting announcements like this all the time. Remember, Atajari Wafa, QNB, National Australia Bank. Then there was the other bank or two. There's like two other banks in Australia. They announced. There was a couple other banks in the MENA region we covered. My goodness, this last 2 months has been bank after bank after bank. And I believe that we're just getting, like, this is just a start. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is not the major announcements, but this is great. Who else is making announcements this often about bank partnerships other than Ripple? Ripple's doing a great job, you know. Says the exact nature of the potential future digital currency is unclear. However, as Montenegro currently has no national currency of its own, the Balkan nation has used the euro as its currency since 2002. That won't really matter anymore now that they're going to be using Ripple, XRP, however this is going to go. It won't matter anymore. They can issue any type of digital asset that they want. It'll be custom designed, smart contracts involved, whatever they want. All the liquidity in the world. This is why XRP is the best. And this is why Ripple chooses to use XRP, because it's the best. David Schwartz is a brilliant man. You want to stick with the best, and the best, as Ripple is a for-profit company, the best is where the money is found. If you don't use the best, somebody else is going to use the best. Get what I'm saying? So, my goodness, I'm loving every little bit of this. It says the Montenegrin government has been angling for a place in the cryptocurrency industry for months. It has developed a reputation for its acceptance of crypto, and it held a panel titled Future Now. Okay. So this is on Cointelegraph.com. Once again, we just read a little bit. This is an extensive article. Head over there, give them some traffic. Let's move on to this next article here. We have a lot of different topics to get through today. So here it says, this is on U.Today. It says XRP Ledger may get new NFT standard just months after accepting previous one. Here's why. Well, this doesn't surprise me. I mean, they're going to continue to improve. We've seen improvement on every level as of late. They've been beefing up everything as of late because, listen, they're going after the big money. The banks, large business institutions, tokenization of everything. That includes possibly, there's no guarantee, it's not financial advice, but the tokenization of giant swaths of commodities at some point flowing, and that value flowing across the XRPL. So they have to make sure they're the best of the best if they want to position themselves for that. I think that that's logical. But let's scroll down here. Let's take a little look. It says, almost 3 months after the introduction of XLS 20 standard, which brought NFT revolution to XRP ledger, a new proposal was put forward expressing dissatisfaction with it, okay, and suggesting improvements to non-fungible tokens. What is the XRPL proposal about? According to the XLS 35D proposal, a lighter alternative has been introduced to the existing NFT format called URI token. The main reason for dissatisfaction with the XLS 20 is said to be complexity. Wait a minute. Ooh, I'm trying to remember. I just read an article. Oh, actually, it was an article about IBM. And they had a problem, and it's not with NFTs, but they were running into issues. They had a blockchain offering, not worldwide or with XLM, not that. But they had another blockchain offering that was in trade finance. And for a short time, it was going well. They had a few carrier ships and things like that. They were doing traceability, right? I think for the most part, they were doing traceability. But the problems they were having with that was complexity. That was the argument that a lot of companies were making, like, hey, this is too complex. This is why I always push. It's bad for business to be too complex. This is why I always put forward the idea about easeability of use. Make your products, make your blockchain as easy to use as possible. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. There used to be an old saying. It was called the KISS saying. Keep it simple and stupid. I know you negate the and, the A and all that, but keep it simple and stupid. That means make it where it's easy to use, quickly, it's efficient, then you deploy it. But I think what a lot of entities are doing, including IBM, they were just running too fast. They wanted everything. They saw the money there. There's a giant boatload of money to be scraped up by the DLTs, by the bank coins. That's why they were building on XLM. They also were building with Hedera. We'll revisit that later in a later chapter. But I think they moved too fast. You have to take your time. Haven't I been saying to everyone? If you're dealing with huge money like trade finance, trad finance, traditional finance, you're dealing with the non-banking financial institutions like Visa and all these other places, MasterCard, then you're dealing with the commercial banks as well as the central banks. Take your time. Don't you want a piece of that money, the trillions? You want at least a chance to take a piece of that. Okay, so make sure everything is done well. Bring it as close to perfection as possible. And then you ensure that that money is going to be able to flow a little bit better than if you rush everything and you put out a bad product. So I understand this here. This is great. Good. See, the people in the XRP community, whoever they may be, are on top of it, making sure that the XRPL is the best of the best. Another reason why the XRP army is the absolute best. They don't sell for anything but the best. All right, so this makes perfect sense to me. It said, here's the main dissatisfaction with XLS 20 is said to be complexity, a general lack of understanding, and a lack of first-class NFT objects. Without going into technical details, which we shouldn't because it'd be too much complication here, which can be found here, the little link is there, we can say that the lightweight nature of the proposed standard can be explained by the absence of royalties for NFT creators, the lack of brokers and buy and sell offers for NFTs. So we're just going to leave that right there. Their article, like I said, this is a good article here on U.Today. They're doing a great job. Make sure you check them out. They have a lot of great articles over there. Okay. So now let's move on here. So now they had a little tweet here, little tweet from Ripple, and I love it when they talk like this. And it says, companies exploring integrating crypto into their business, companies are exploring integrating crypto into their business, but to maximize business use cases, organizations need an enterprise level liquidity provider. That's what I want to hear from you, Ripple. It says that's where Ripple Liquidity Hub comes in. Great advertisement, confident, strong. It puts that feeling out there that they're the best of the best. And that, listen, a lot of companies come to Ripple's Twitter, come to the Ripple's website, and that's what they want to see. They want to be approached with confidence and certainty. to say we're the best, we have liquidity for you. And when you say liquidity, let me tell you, a lot of eyes pop open, a lot of ears open up wide. They're starting to listen. Oh, you have liquidity? There's a lot of issues with liquidity across many, many sectors. You'd be surprised. So this is what I want to see, because it's going to possibly bring in more partnerships. Now, companies with that type of confidence, and you're talking liquidity, and you have a myriad of use cases to show, now companies want to come in and sit down and maybe have a discussion with you about a possible partnership. And that's where you get memorandums of understanding. This is one reason why Ripple is the best. And they've been pushing XRP the best. Don't get me wrong. A lot of companies are building on the XRPL. They're doing a good job as well. A lot of companies building with XRP on the XRPL. And I think they're going to have tremendous success. But Ripple has been doing it the best, in my humble opinion. So, but if they want a formula on how to win, this is how you do it. Confidence, have a good dominating team, have the absolute best product, and always move forward. Always forward, never backwards. Here's another classic. So, who said that? The esteemed Nasir Jones. Come on, man. Give me that hip hop card. Stop playing right there. That's me ripping up the card, throwing it in the air. If you didn't know that, come on now. And let me say this. I want to say this. This is random, but I want to say this. I can't even believe what some of these youth. Listen, once in a while I'm on the internet just for fun. Once in a while, not often either. Because I like my meditation time. I read my books and stuff like that. I try to experience as much peace as possible. But once in a while I'm on the internet, and I heard youth actually debating and saying Nas had one good album. Are you insane? Are you nuts? Listen, youth, let me talk to you real quick. I know you weren't even born when Illmatic dropped. That's number one. And although Illmatic was great, I love Illmatic is a great album. A lot of complicated rhymes in there. All right. And let me tell you, AZ was snapping on there, by the way. But put Illmatic to the side. Listen, for me, I think for my generation, the best Nas album by far, which at least give him 2 certified classics, is Stillmatic. Have you ever listened to Stillmatic Beyond Ether? That album is deep. It's a person's pain, love, observation, intelligence. They're growing. You see the coming from ignorance into wisdom. There's all of that on Stillmatic. What are you talking about? Illmatic was written in Nas' youth. Listen, I know there's the idea sometimes some people's best work is done when they're younger. Not all the time. When you grow into masterhood in your older years, there are certain people they're like fine wines. They become better. You become a master over time. And that's when you paint your Sistine Chapel. That's when you do your best work. When you write your The Ravens. Stillmatic was Nas's best work. And let me tell you something else. He doesn't just have 2 classics. The esteemed Nasir Jones also, and we're going to get back to crypto. There's chapters, everyone. That's why I put them in there. So you can skip past this if you want. But the esteemed Nasir Jones also, that Hip Hop Is Dead album. I know you people were salty about that. A lot of people were salty about that Hip Hop Is Dead album. But that Hip Hop Is Dead album was solid. Solid. So, hey, my humble opinion. But I'm not going to let the youth try to strip away history. You got to show respect to those who came before you, the elders. So now, let's move on here. Random Nas chapter, right? No, Nas is one of the absolute best. Nas, love Nas, Pac, Big. Cannabis is up there. People don't want to talk about Cannabis. Cannabis is up there. The rapper, right? Let's go here. So then we have this here. Ripple is doing one big thing after another. I love it. They're making waves in every possible way. Good. This is from Cindy Young. It says here, I'm humbled to be included in at Financial News' most influential crypto list. This is great advertisement. Once again, a lot of business people read some of these magazines, some of these emails that are coming through. They can see this. Or who is Cindy Young? They may not know who Ripple is. Who's Cindy Young? They're looking at Cindy Young's accolades. They're looking at the company she's working at now, Ripple. They're looking at what Ripple is doing, and they may say to themselves, hey, let me reach out to this company. I like what this company is doing. They have somebody here who is the best of the best. And if they're looking at Ripple, they're going to find out Ripple has a lot of people who are the best of the best. And that can bring in what? More partnerships. That's what someone like me wants. I want more partnerships. I want more banks. I want more bank money. And not just with Ripple, anybody who's building on the XRP, I don't care who it is. I want them all to succeed. Simple as that. For obvious reasons, right? So this is very, very good. Anything that looks like an advertisement when it comes to the bank coins can bring about the possibility of more partnerships. And that can equal up to more money flowing through those currencies. It's possible. It's not guaranteed, but it is possible. So now let's move on to this next tweet here. Now, we're going to get to a little bit of Algorand news, right? Algorand always doing a good job. So here, it says here, it's from Algorand Foundation. And it says, at Equito Finance is tackling a huge challenge. Cross-chain liquidity. Talk that liquidity. Algorand has been on liquidity lately. Talk that liquidity to me and say it slowly. Oh, yeah. Money, 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 money. So if you watch the little video that's attached here, this is from the CEO of Equito Finance. They're talking about building like these bridges, but to bring more interoperability to Algorand, which I already believe has sufficient interoperability, but they're going to bring some more interoperability. And you all know that I'm not really pro bridge, but here's what was good about this. And I'm glad this individual covered this. While he was talking about bridges, I was like, bridges, we know how that goes. Immediately followed up his comments about bridges with, we're making sure we have a massive amount of security. Yes, if you're going to be doing bridges, have the absolute best security. And because you're building on Algorand and working in conjunction with Algorand, I expect nothing but the best security from you. Now, so you said it. So that's what we're expecting. And so then also this individual goes on to say that they're looking to help expand the ecosystem. That's also what I want to hear. See, I love Algorand because the entire community works to expand the ecosystem. They have the absolute best ecosystem, the absolute best community. Some of the algo holders are some of the most solid people on the earth. Really got a lot of love for the algo community, as well as the XRP army. We're all one here. XLM army, XLM. XLM people would have to have a name. XLM juggernauts. What about that? XLM Spartans. What about that? I don't know. But I like to hear this. This was very, very good. Cross-chain liquidity. Bring some more volume. Bring some more value. Let's tap into that liquidity. Things are looking bright for the future when it comes to Algorand. Now, let's continue on here. All right. We're flowing smooth today. We're doing pretty good. Everybody out there, you doing well today? I hope you are. I did a little stretching earlier, do a little exercising, a little punching, a little kicking. Did a Billy Blanks workout. I love Billy. Mr. Blanks is one of the best in my humble opinion. So I hope you're taking care of your health. You're feeling good. You're conquering the week. All right. Now, also don't forget, if you're in the members only section, make sure you head over to my channel, and then you'll see some of the posts. Some of my posts have been written lately. I wrote 2 really good posts, and I'm going to have to update one because there's going to be an update tonight in the LBRY case. They had a hearing on the LBRY, with all the value and stuff like that, what they're going to do with it, and the token. There's going to be an update, so I'm going to have to update something over there soon. But I wrote 2 really good articles over there, right? I typed everything up. It's not always going to be a video, but head over there and give them a read. They were really, really good and informative in my humble opinion, all right? And thank you so much for being a part of the members only section. So here's another little tidbit from Algorand. This is from Folks Finance. It says, attention, Algo fam. We're launching the Folks Ambassador Program. Okay. Help us expand globally and get rewarded for your work. I like that. Okay. So you're not just trying to get people to work and waste their time for free. No, you're actually incentivizing people with algo. So there's more algo inflow. And if the people want some extra algo, I guess they put in whatever work that, whatever promotion work that you're looking for, and they get a little bit of algo. I'm assuming that's what's going on here. It says Folks Finance wants you to become our next ambassador. Follow, like, retweet, and tag 3 friends for a chance to win 500 G algo. All right. Okay. We're looking for ambassadors from all corners of the globe to represent Folks Finance protocol. Community expansion is a primary focus for us. So this is interesting. I like when the people when builders on any of the Bankcoin blockchains or DLTs, when they treat the communities with respect. I like that. And some people are, maybe they're going to get some of this algo. I don't know. But I like the activity at least. So now we're going to move on from that. All right. So here now, I wanted to take a look at this. This is the stellar chapter for today, the XLM chapter. All right. So, you know, I look into things deeply. I try to keep up with what's going on right now, what has already happened, because sometimes that can lead you to things that may occur and other connections. But I also I think of myself as a visionary. I try to look into the future a little bit based on causes now to try to come up with what effects might be born out of those causes later, right? Cause and effect. So I was looking into IBM, and now here's something that's interesting. I believe, and there was some confusion. For instance, there's an article here where, you know, IBM had toned down a lot of their blockchain activities. They toned down a lot of it. Now they say they do this. Well, let me start off by saying that there was a former, here's an article on CoinDesk. Let me just, for reference, to give you facts. So this can get a little bit slippery, you know, when they say sources and then you can't verify who the source is. I mean, but we can take this into account. It says, so they slowed down their blockchain activities. It was alleged that they missed 90% of their revenue goals, which there's a lot of context missing there. It's like, were their goals reasonable? It says job losses escalated as the company failed to meet its revenue targets for the once feeded technology by 90% this year, according to one of the sources. Who's the source? Where's the data on this actual missing out of revenue? How can we verify that? I don't just take people's word, but it is possible. I consider that. So I keep a balanced approach. So let's continue on here. So it says, quote, this is from one of their sources. IBM is doing a major reorganization. This is what the source claims, but it was refuted right after that by an IBM spokesperson, as I believe that they would. It says, our blockchain business is doing well, thank you, right? Holly Hoswell, a director of public relations at IBM, but public relations is going to try to keep things looking good as well. So once again, I'm trying to stay balanced, 50-50. It says, we have realigned some leaders and business units to continue to drive growth. We do that every year. So they're alleging that the letting go of people and such like that and reorganization is just something that they do every year. This is what they're saying. So I'm still keeping a balanced approach because, you know, the truth may be somewhere in the middle. All right. Now, personally, this is my own personal opinion. I believe that, you know, maybe they took their foot off the gas a little bit because of a lack of regulatory clarity. Now, there was an article I read yesterday. I don't think I covered it in the video, but there was someone saying that I think it was the CEO of Library, LBRY, was saying how exchanges and companies are terrified. He used that word, terrified of the SEC. Listen, so a lot of companies, if you notice, they pulled back. They try to kind of disappear into the crowd. And I think it's because of that. They don't want to run afoul of the SEC. I've said this many times before, but I'm using that as a possible reasoning behind why IBM sort of is pulling back and they're focusing on things that are, in my opinion, not the future, like hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is not the future. If it was the future, then the new financial system wouldn't be dominated by the bank coins, the Bankcoin blockchains, and hash graph, distributed ledger technology. If hybrid cloud was the future, Web3 wouldn't be dominated by distributed ledger technologies. If hybrid cloud was the future, hybrid cloud is something completely different. If my understanding is correct, right? So keeping that in mind, all right, keeping that in mind, let's go here. So just that was then tackling the revenue issue in 2022. Now, I know they were trying to be specific to the blockchain, aspect of IBM when they were speaking on that in that article right there, right? But let's look at overall revenue. And what I'm going to postulate here is that when there's regulatory clarity, and there's been a lot of predictions that we can get some sort of regulations this year, who knows if that's actually going to happen, but we'll see. But if we do get regulations this year, IBM definitely has enough money to funnel back into that blockchain program to really start the fires up again for WorldWire, which they open sourced, by the way. They open sourced that. Let's make that clear. So anybody can build on that if they wanted to. That may come in handy later on as well in the future, as there's regulatory clarity and many entities now can just, it's like off to the races now. Now everybody can build on and use the blockchains, the open source blockchains now. So that may come in handy as well in Stellar's future, but we'll see. But what I'm postulating is now, if there's regulation and there's enough capital that can be reallocated, they may at some point fire up that engine again and go full force. It's a possibility. It's not a guarantee. But look at this. This article says, news, IBM Q3 2022 revenue reached $14.4 billion in the period ending September 30th, as Big Blue grew its revenue by 6%. Their revenue grew. So they may have some money to play with. It grew by 6% from the 13.3 billion in revenue it posted 1 year ago. So they're doing well. So like I said, with regulatory clarity, they may be, and I'm not saying that they completely stopped activity. Like, who knows? I don't know how far they're going, because it's hard to find out anything about WorldWire right now as far as what my research has turned up. I can't speak for others. Maybe somebody else has found a whole lot. I don't know. But personally, I haven't found a whole lot of updates. However, I will say this. They haven't taken their page down. They had a myriad of banks already set up. They have a connection with a myriad of banks around the world. Why would you? It's open source. You can always hire more people later, bring them in and build later. It's easy to do. And especially all you have to do is conscript infrastructures that Stellar is already working on. Now, I said all of that to lead up to this piece here. All right. So this is from Retail Banker International.com. RetailBankerInternational.com. Now, this article is titled Analysis, all right? 100 banking payments experts share forecasts for 2023. Just listen to this closely and you can make up your own mind on where this might lead, right? Now, so this is Shankar Ramamurthy, BIAN board member. That's major. BIAN board member and global managing partner, banking and financial markets, IBM Consulting. Let's see what this individual has to say. The future of banking is the history of banking flipped on its head. What is flipping banking on its head right now? It's not hybrid cloud. Ripple, Stellar, Hedera, Algorand, the new financial system. Keep that in mind. That's my interpretation, okay? It says banks which used to compete on the basis of back office efficiencies today compete on the basis of front office customer experiences, a shift which we'll see increase in 2023. The confluence of exponential technologies such as AI, then get this, it says as AI and hybrid cloud have dramatically reduced operational costs and unlocked the potential for future platform-based business models. Listen, how can this is so this comment is so false to me. Really, it should say the confluence. Think about this logically. What has been making waves to the point it has to get regulated? What has been making waves and stepping on toes so much that you got half of the industry, or maybe more than half of the industry loves it, but the other less than half of the industry absolutely hates it to the point they're going to war with it. That's the bank coins, the new financial system. This person, they don't want to say it, but they know it. It should say the confluence of exponential technologies such as AI and distributed ledger technologies have dramatically reduced operational costs and unlocked the potential for future platform-based business models. It's DLTs. What are the banks building on? DLTs. What are the governments? Who are the governments having meetings with? The DLTs. Ripple and Stellar were on those panels. Oh yeah, and Algorand also. Let me not forget Algorand. They put in their work, a lot of good work. Oh, and let me not forget XDC. They also met with governments. It's the DLTs. Make no mistake about it. So when this individual is saying the banking industry is going to be flipped on its head, yeah, sure, by the new financial system, I think that's well known. So then why are they trying to say hybrid cloud? I get it's your product, IBM. But I really firmly believe that DLTs are dominating. You're sitting on WorldWire. You still have those same banking connections. You know that you could always use infrastructures. You're letting everybody else build the infrastructures. Only so you can swoop in later. All businesses always do this. They did it with the internet. They do it with everything. They let everyone else build. They come in later and swoop in, buy a few infrastructures, maybe even buy up companies. And then they dominate with what everybody else built. They're very parasitic in that way. I don't say that in a negative way, but that's the truth. But let me continue on here, okay? Because I have so many other articles to get to, but I want to give you this because this was on my mind. I'm reading this article. It says, in 2023, banks must adopt industry standards. What's that sound like? Like the Banking Industry Architecture Network, BIAN, to enable faster and more seamless collaboration, interoperability with business partners in the ISV ecosystem as this trend heightens. Does that even sound right? You know what the standard is that everybody's talking about. You know what the standard is that's making it easier for data to go back and forth. You know what that is. You know what it is. So now I want to scroll down here because we can go through more of that. There's another individual that worked with IBM. They have something to say. Just tell me if you're seeing something here, right? So this is Hans Tessler, interesting name, executive director of BIAN. Says here, this is what he has to say. Over the past few years, banks have faced immense disruption and struggled to transform its organization with technology. They struggle. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I read this little piece here. This is where he really bombs on the banking industry. What do they call it? Like he's taking shots. So over the past few years, banks faced immense disruption from where? You see how this contradicts what the other individual is saying? They weren't experiencing disruption from hybrid cloud. They weren't experiencing disruption from AI. They were experiencing disruption from the bank coins, the DLTs, crypto. So you see how they're talking about crypto, but trying to put something else in its place? Yeah, we see a lot of that in the world, don't we? Yeah, something else came up with something. There's something else comes in. They try to bring something else in to replace it so they can benefit from it, right? All right. Now, it says, our research with IBM that 88% of banking executives are troubled by their bank's commitments to multi-year projects, which means they have no commitment, no willpower. That's the first problem. That probably is what caused the problem for IBM. Lack of commitment from the banks. But we've seen that because they have terrible monetary policy. And then when they do write something, they're talking about bail-ins and everything that's negative for the people. They don't have to have any reserves almost, don't have to have your money. So we understand that. Let's continue on here. My mind is flowing today. Yesterday, my mind was like grinding to a halt. Today, I'm flowing. I feel like I could tap into like the Akashic records. Oh, somebody out there is like, oh, you know about the Akashic records? I said that just to make some waves. I was going to say universal consciousness, but Akashic record is much more fun. I could also say repository consciousness, but repository consciousness is a little bit different. That's more of an aspect of awareness rather than a part of a mentality or issuance of a mind. Actually, repository consciousness is supposed to give rise to the conceptual consciousness, and out of the conceptual consciousness comes the mind, which gives rise to the five senses. That's from my understanding and a whole lot of studying. But let's continue on here. They're telling on themselves. I kid you not, they're telling on themselves. So it says here, so by the bank's commitments to multi-year projects, interoperability across technology environments. What are they talking about? The biggest and the most popular interoperability mechanisms are the bank coins, the DLTs, the blockchains. That's you're talking about that, but without saying it. Why don't they want to say it? Why don't they want to say it? That's number one. Number two, what was the primary blockchain that they were working with, IBM? It was Stellar. Stellar protocol was at the crux of their cross-border payments. So if you're talking banking and you're talking all that cross-border talk, there's no way they're going to go with something else for that. as opposed to the infrastructure that they claimed it was already set up. They said that their infrastructures were done. It can always come back full force later. I'm not saying it's not going on now. I don't know the full status of it because I think they're laying low. I do. And they know that they can hire more people later if they want to, if they even need to. Like I said, it hasn't been a lot of updates. A lot of companies are keeping quiet. You think not? Interstellar. What's going on with Interstellar? Interstellar is the for-profit branch of Stellar. Real quiet, hasn't it been? Right. A lot of companies keep it real quiet because they like the CEO of LBRY said, they're scared to death. He said terrified of the SEC. Don't underestimate that fear. They don't want to get crushed and have their business destroyed because of the SEC. So now let's continue on here. So it says interoperability across technology environments and theft of sensitive data. Woo! He sounds like Alphanine. Theft of sensitive data. They're struggling with that. Right. So why isn't that talked about in the mainstream media? We solved that problem. But, okay, so let me bring everything to a conclusion. So I'm theorizing. This is not a guarantee. It's definitely not financial advice. I don't ever want to be a financial advisor ever. I'm just a humble researcher, okay? That's all. I'm theorizing that it's quite easy for IBM to come out of nowhere when there's regulatory clarity and dominate with Worldwire. They can rebrand it if they want. They may still have, I believe that they probably still have the same connections. Banks understand the technology. They see the entire world moving towards CBDCs. They already had an infrastructure to move all that capital cross border. So that's what I think. I think they know that, but they're laying low, in my humble opinion. I think a lot of this, what they're talking about here, interoperability, security, right? A dominating technology that's flipping the bank industry on their heads. In my opinion, they're talking about the DLTs, but they just can't say it. They can't say it. They don't want to say it because it's risky right now. It's risky, not just legally is risky, but it's also risky because of the dirt that has been thrown and shoveled on the bank coin's name. So until there's clarity, and I think a lot of companies are going to be laying low. So I just wanted to bring this to you and put this on your table. That was very interesting. They were speaking like that. Right. So now let's move on here. So we have an article here and it's titled Coinbase exec says institutional investors still into crypto. Let's scroll down here and take a look at this. And we've been saying this for a long time. There's a lot of institutional money on the side. I think that that's just logical. Like I said, there's a lot of companies laying low because of the SEC and lack of regulatory clarity, but they see the cost that they can save by using the distributed ledger technologies. They see the money that they can bring in. They see the control and power. Never underestimate people's desire for power. So of course they're going to be on the side. If you're not seeing them right now, just know they're there. They are there, but they're on the side. Then we had confirmation. I was saying this long before the SBI Remit head came out. Then the head of SBI Remit came out and said, hey, there's a lot of institutional money on the side. That confirmed it for me. And now you have Coinbase saying, what? Coinbase exec says institutional investors still into crypto post FTX. So let's scroll down here. Just read a little tidbit here. Okay. Institutional investors appear to have steadfast interest in crypto. David Duong, head of institutional research at crypto exchange Coinbase, told CoinDesk TV's First Mover on Monday, quote, the secular trend of institutional adoption hasn't changed. It's still here. So they're still there. Even though mainstream media is going to tell you, oh, no, they're all gone. Crypto bad. Crypto is dead. Institutional investors are still there. Says Duong said about whether the implosion of the FTX crypto exchange soured investor interest. It says Duong said even in the midst of the FTX debacle that came on top of the crypto winter, on top, so we have massive negatives, right? So even with that, institutional investors have recognized that, quote, these are cyclical developments. That is powerful and true. Everything has its natural rise and fall. It was only a matter of time before crypto had some problems. Look how high up we went. Look how far we went. Keep in mind, a lot of the things that we were dealing with, Algorand, Batcoin, Zilliqa, they had different, Cello. These things were Quant. These things exploded multiples of times. Crypto was on a high. So there's a natural rising and falling to everything. This is just part of the natural cycle. Makes perfect sense to me. So now let's continue on here. Appreciate everyone being here today. I hope people are using the chapters so they can watch a little bit more, because I know we're getting long into the video. Some people are like, oh, I don't like long videos, but that's why I try to make chapters. Each video is actually like a bunch of videos together, so we don't have to waste time. You get a lot of content, potent content, I hope, and at least that's how I feel. And yet, if you don't want to watch this video, this chapter, then you could jump to this next chapter. Each chapter is like a video in its own. That's how I try to make it. I try to give everyone extra bang for your time, really not buck, right? Or bang for your buck, if you will. I try to give you the best. At least that's how I feel. So now, this is what I would want. So now, this article is from agriculture.com. We haven't gotten an update on soybeans and things like that for quite some time, so now we're going to do that. So this article is titled, U.S. Soybeans Firm as Argentina Drought Worries Persist. We've read about this before. Okay, so here it says, soybeans near 2-week high on dry weather in Argentina. Cold snap in U.S. brings renewed wheat damage fears. Really? Okay, I got to keep an eye on that. My goodness. Chicago soybeans climbed on Monday, underpinned by concern that drought-damaged crops in Argentina could face more dry weather. Wheat traded near even after climbing earlier in the session on fears a cold snap in U.S. grain belts could lead to crop damage. While potential escalations in the redacted versus redacted war also underpinned prices. Chicago Board of Trade, most active soybeans rose 22.5 cents to $15.32 a bushel by 11:29 a.m. local time, 17:29 GMT. After reaching its highest since January 18th, wheat added 5 3/4 cents to $7.55 3/4 a bushel, while corn lifted 1 cent to $6.84 a bushel. Quote, the beans are keeping a close eye. I like how they phrased it. Oh man, I love personification. The beans are keeping a close eye on the weather in southern Brazil and Argentina, which has been drying out again, said Jack Scoville, market analyst at the Price Futures Group. Drought conditions, and we're going to stop here. This is a long article, by the way. Make sure you check out agriculture.com. They have a lot of great articles over there if you're into futures and such, right? So we're just going to leave it here because this is a lot. This is a hefty article. It says, drought conditions across Argentina continue to erode soybean yields in Argentina as forecasts again turn dry, despite recent rains that aided crop conditions. U.S. soybean futures remain capped. Okay, so we'll stop right there. They have another section on Brazil. My goodness, great article here, okay? So that's your soybean futures news right there. So now, let us move on here. So this is from yahoo.com, and this article is titled, Treasury's Yields Tick Higher as Fed Hike Reports Jobs Report Loom in Week Ahead. Let's read this little tidbit here. It says, U.S. Treasury yields edged higher on Monday at the start of a busy week of economic data and a widely anticipated interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve. Investors have priced in a near certainty that the Fed would raise benchmark rates by 25 basis points at the end of its meeting. Wait, what? Okay, let me just continue on. My mind is blown. Okay, investors have priced in a near certainty that the Fed would raise benchmark rates by 25 basis points at the end of its meeting on Wednesday. All right, the smallest increase. Yeah, that's blowing my mind. Are they really going to do that? Maybe they're right. I could be wrong. I always felt it should have stayed at 75 basis points until we get inflation down to where it needs to be, where they said they wanted it. But maybe I'm wrong and this is the correct strategy. I don't doubt myself, though. I believe I'm correct, but I'm willing to, well, I don't have a choice. We all don't have a choice. We're going to see how this plays out, but at least keep it 50. All right, well, we will see how this turns out. Let me continue on here. The smallest increase since the central bank began its rate hike cycle 10 months ago. Economic data scheduled to be released this week, which includes readings on consumer finance, construction spending, and unemployment, are expected to factor into whether the Fed will conclude its rate hikes in March. That's interesting. I had an article, I don't know if it's up here. I had an article about unemployment going up. Are they factoring that in, or are they going to take that into account later? Quote, we anticipate the price action itself will be the most relevant takeaway from the session as investors seek to set up for this week's array of fundamental and policy developments, said Ian Lingen, head of U.S. rate strategy at BMO Capital Markets. The yield on 10-year Treasury notes was up 3.5 basis points to 3.553%, bringing it close to its highest level since January the 11th. The yield on the 30-year Treasury bond was up 2.8 basis points to 3.662%. Rising concerns about the possibility of a default in Congress, they have to raise it. There's no way they can't. If they were not to raise it, which they've done it multiples of times, they're going to. Just like one of the commenters said the other day, I agree 100%. They're going to. If they don't, disaster is waiting. So they have to. Negotiations are not. This is why they said that the president said he didn't even want to have a discussion, because they know you have to raise that ceiling. So anyway, continuing on here. Rising concerns about the possibility of a default if Congress does not raise the debt ceiling helped propel greater demand for 6-month bills than for 3-month bills in separate auctions held on Monday, said Thomas Simons. All right, let's stop right there. Let's move forward here. So, a little bit of stock news. This may be a little bit of a longer video today. That's perfectly fine. This is from Trading Economics. The Dow Jones was down more than 200 points on Monday, and the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq lost more than 1.1% and 1.7% respectively. As investors await the Fed's meeting, everything went red. Everything's red today. All right. So we're all seeing it across all of the different sectors. It says, as investors await the Fed's meeting along with a busy week of earnings, the Fed is expected to hike rates by 25 basis points, slowing its tightening pace for the second straight session at the end of its two-day policy meeting on Wednesday, amid signs that show inflation in the U.S. has begun to ease. That's interesting. But I'm not going to go into my entire thought process of them negating energy and food and such like that. Yes, that's what they do. So that I always keep that in mind when they say things like this. So I'm going to stop right there. Let's see if there's any more to this article. Oh, they have nice charts down here. Look, this is a great article here on tradingeconomics.com. Okay, make sure you go over there and check them out. They have a ton of good news over there. So we're just going to leave that. We're going to stop there. And let's move on to another article, okay? I want to try to finish all of my articles today. Typically, I leave like 6 or 7 of them undone. I want to get through all of them today. This is on seekingalpha.com. Canadian solar to add capacity. You have to keep this stuff in your mind, especially if you're going to get into silver. I'm telling you, Canadian solar to add capacity across solar battery supply chain in China. My question is, did they increase? Are they increasing in sales? What was the increase in sales? I got to look into this. Now, why is this important? Okay, I want to go here. I don't know if I screenshot this or not. This is why this is important. Whether we're talking about electric cars, electric vehicles of all kinds, like because you have electric trucks like for industries, you have electric cars for civilians, solar panels. Any of these things, they all use silver. There's already this article that we read. I don't know if it's going to change, how much they're going to be able to increase mining. I don't know. We have to keep up to date on this. but there's already they're running into a shortage on silver because people are holding silver because they expect silver to explode, and for good reason, because silver is being used more and more in all of these electrical appliances, all of these electrical vehicles and offerings. Silver is one of the best conductors of energy. This here is from news.virginia.edu, an education site. So this is reputable, okay? It says an average solar panel of 2 square meters in size uses about 20 grams of silver. They're trying to push these around the world. How much silver are they gonna need? They're trying to push these things around the world for people's living quarters, for companies. My goodness, that's a lot of silver that's going to be necessary in the future if they can actually pull this off. Which then does what to silver's price? Raise it. It could raise it. It could raise. I'm kidding. So that's why when I read an article like that, ooh, I get a little excited. And a lot of people not into gold and silver for some reason. I don't know why. I think that they're some of the easiest to predict. In my humble opinion, it's pretty easy. It's like the catalysts are pretty clear. And there's nothing standing in their way. It's just a matter of if the catalysts are actualized or not. All right, so now let's go here. Let's see what we have left. We have a very hefty article. I may read that one tomorrow. Okay, so let's end off here. This is an article on beincrypto.com. Crypto investors demand more than hype and real utility. So let's scroll down here. Just read just a little bit. It says here, as the crypto market continues to grow and mature, investors are becoming savvy and discerning in their choices. They are looking for projects with real utility, something that they can actually use and benefit from in their daily lives. And it also ensures that companies are going to use it. If you have a utility token and they are their primary customers are going to be companies, then you know that if you get involved with that, there's the possibility that price can go up. It's a possibility. It's not a guarantee. It's a possibility, right? So I believe they're looking into it for that as well. It says this shift in focus has led companies to reevaluate the role of their token in their ecosystem. This is good. Okay, so companies are getting motivated to actually put utility behind the coins. You can't just have a coin just for coin's sake and hope that it gets pumped and dumped or something like that, right? Good. Get rid of that because that's injurious to a lot of people. A lot of people lost a lot of money, and it's unfortunate. So good that we're getting rid of that now. It says as crypto investors want to know what they're buying into. Of course, always know this. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to, and don't be peer pressured into just. I see a lot of people like that. They like fear of missing out and peer pressure. They got these big groups of people and they're all talking about these coins and such. And then other people are bragging, oh, I made this amount. It went up this much. And then the people get in and they're usually getting in at a high and then it dumps on them and they lose their money. That's like a form of peer pressure. It does exist in adult levels. I've seen it. I just stand on the outside. I'm listening to people and they're talking in these little crypto groups and such like that in person, right? And I'm just shaking my head like, my goodness. And I hear some things. That's how people get involved in like scam coins and rug pulls. These groups of people sometimes, this can be very dangerous. Got to be careful, ask questions, do your research, find out who's this company behind this protocol. What is it used for? How long has it been around? Does it have utility? What are the partnerships? You got to ask all these questions and be safe. Protect yourself at all times. Says here, in response, many companies are now thinking creatively and critically about the value that their token offers. Good. And all of this, as you see, is coinciding. Another factor would be that all of this is coinciding with regulatory clarity. So if you want to survive regulations, you better have some utility and you better be sufficiently decentralized. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.